Welcome to this Simply Communicate video introducing emotional intelligence. I'm Ian Webster, founder and owner of Simply Communicate. Why is everyone talking about emotional intelligence? What's so important about it? Aristotle gave us a clue some 2,500 years ago. He said, anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not easy. And the research around emotional intelligence suggests that not just anger, but all our emotions may be managed and harnessed for more effective relationships and interactions. Various studies have shown that high IQ, the standard by which most of us are usually measured, does not guarantee success in the classroom or in the boardroom. Research suggests that emotional intelligence, or more correctly, emotional competence, is an essential ingredient. There is, of course, far more to emotional intelligence than can be dealt with in a 10-minute video or even a full-day workshop. This video is just a brief introduction, but it includes an exercise that anyone can start doing today to begin a journey towards greater emotional competence. And I hope that this little taste will encourage you to explore this critical skill far more thoroughly. As Maya Angelou reminded us, how we make people feel during any interaction, whether it's our employees, our customers, our children, how we make people feel is far more important than anything we might do or say. We remember events and interactions for how we felt about them, and we prefer doing business where we feel safe, comfortable, confident, excited, rather than unhappy, insecure, uncomfortable, or nervous. Logic and reasoning are important, but it's how we feel about an investment, an event, or a cause that drives us to action. The question is, can we manage our own emotions and understand those of others to engage more effectively at home and at work? In his book, Emotional Intelligence, Daniel Goleman said it took a special kind of intelligence to process emotional information and use it effectively, whether to make good decisions, resolve conflict, or motivate oneself and others. I encourage you to explore the subject more fully. There is lots to learn. But for now, we're going to look at a simple exercise that will help us become more aware of our own emotions and begin to regulate our responses. First, think about how we experience emotions. We are all emotional beings, all of us. Some people experience emotions more strongly, and some emotions surface more often than others. But however we experience them, emotions are common to all of us. But it's how we express them that really matters. Emotions often well up inside of us without any invitation, and we seem to have no control over how we express them. We often blame others. We say things like that, "You make me angry," "You left me no choice." But the truth is, how and whether we express our emotions is always a choice. Sometimes it seems there's no space to make a choice, but claiming the space and learning to make good choices is what emotional competence and emotional intelligence is all about. Although he was not discussing emotional intelligence at the time, Stephen Covey gave the best clue towards developing emotional competence in his book, First Things First. In a quote often incorrectly ascribed to Viktor Frankl, Covey wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." For most of us, there are certain things that set off an almost instantaneous reaction. There doesn't seem any space between what happens to us, what Covey calls the stimulus, and our response or our reaction. Things that spark instant reactions might be a helpline or a bank clerk being less than helpful, a child's tantrum, or a taxi behaving badly. That one's for South African viewers. Often it's the small things that set us off, especially in the home. Lids not tightened correctly, being kept waiting, or lights being left on. While our responses seem instantaneous, they have in fact been learnt. And there is a space where those reactions can be unlearned, and the work of emotional intelligence can begin. Let me suggest 3 simple steps that will enable you to work in that space between stimulus and response. Prepare, reflect, and prepare again. Think of an area or a typical reaction that you struggle with. For me, it's the mad drivers that always seem to populate the roads when I'm in a hurry. But for you, it might be a difficult conversation that might be coming up. The first step is to prepare. What are the likely trigger points for you? Can you avoid the situation? Or how can you approach it differently? I find that I can leave earlier for any trip, and strangely enough, the mad drivers don't seem to come out. Can you discuss the situation with someone? Write down some actions and phrases that might be helpful. Prepare well. Then, after the event, reflect on what happened. Perhaps you reacted too quickly to a bank teller or to a situation at home. What were your feelings? Anger? Frustration? Humiliation? What do you think the other person might have been feeling and experiencing? And what was the outcome? Then reflect on what you might have done differently. Could you have walked away or taken a few breaths before replying? What could you have said differently that might have changed the tone? Reflect on what happened. Then prepare for the next time. Make a list of positive words and encouraging phrases that might be useful next time something like that happens. Think of responses that might have been better than your previous one and write them down. Prepare, reflect, and prepare again. What we are doing here is working in that space that Kavi spoke about. In the situation itself, the space is too small. Things happen too quickly. But as we reflect and prepare, we introduce our minds to other possibilities, and slowly we become better. We become less reactive and more responsive. The space is becoming wider, and we are developing our power to choose our response. So prepare, reflect, and prepare again. Don't give up because you don't change overnight. We have lived with these behaviors and practiced them for a long time. Change is a process. And some behaviors, particularly around anger and fear, are so deeply ingrained, we're going to need professional help. Don't be afraid to get it. Prepare, reflect, and prepare again. 3 simple steps to begin your journey towards greater emotional competence. Please send me any of your questions or thoughts that you take from this video. I'd love to hear from you. If you would like to know more, please contact me by email, ian@simplycommunicate.co.za, or visit my website, www.simplycommunicate.co.za. You can also find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Thank you for joining me.